Have you ever noticed that the more you chase someone, the more distant they become? It's a strange, almost cruel paradox. You're pouring out attention, affection, and time, believing that this intensity will eventually be returned. But instead, they seem to slip further away with every step you take toward them. What no one tells you is that energy speaks louder than words or actions. When you chase, you're not just sending a text or rearranging your schedule. You're sending a message that says, "I'm not enough on my own. I need you to feel whole." And whether they realize it consciously or not, people feel that imbalance. That energy can be suffocating. It carries a quiet desperation that doesn't invite connection. It demands it, and that pressure causes most people to retreat, not because they're cruel or disinterested, but because no one wants to be someone else's source of self-worth. I remember a time when I was deeply infatuated with someone. I thought about them constantly. Every time I texted, I analyzed their response. I reshaped my days to fit their availability, hoping that my effort would be noticed and appreciated. But it never worked. They grew more and more distant, not because they didn't care, but because I was losing myself in the pursuit. My presence was no longer grounded. I was orbiting around them, trying to earn a place in their world. That's the flaw in chasing. It pulls you out of alignment with yourself. The truth is, we're not drawn to people who chase us. We're drawn to people who are centered, secure, and sure of who they are. The less you chase, the more room there is for someone to walk toward you, freely, willingly, and without the weight of expectation. Letting go doesn't mean you don't care. It means you stop trying to force something into place that was never meant to be controlled. This is the energy shift that changes everything. When you're in chase mode, your whole focus narrows. You zero in on one person, one outcome, one narrative. If I can just make them see my worth, if I can just be what they need, they'll stay. But this mindset creates emotional tension. It's like trying to hold on to water by clenching your fist. The tighter your grip, the faster it slips through your fingers. People can feel when you're energetically holding on too tightly. They may not articulate it, but they sense the pressure, the expectation, and it pushes them away. True connection can't grow in a space that feels suffocating. But when you release the need for control, when you stop chasing, stop hoping they'll finally see you in the way you want, you create space. You shift from need to trust. You start saying through your energy, "I trust that what is meant for me will not miss me. I trust that I am enough right now, whether or not this person stays." That kind of detachment isn't indifference. It's emotional maturity. It's power. I've lived both sides. I've chased someone to the point of exhaustion, believing that intensity would lead to intimacy. It didn't. But the moment I shifted focus back to myself, back to my peace and growth, something unexpected happened. They came back. Not because I played a game, but because I reclaimed my energy. That's the butterfly effect. One small shift, letting go, can send out a ripple that changes everything. The less you force, the more life flows. You stop trying to capture love, and instead, you become the space where love naturally wants to land. If your life were a movie, would you be the main character, or just someone passing through a scene in someone else's story? It's an uncomfortable question, but an important one. When you're chasing someone, you're not living in your spotlight. You're hanging out in the background, waiting for a cue, hoping for attention, reacting instead of creating. You start adjusting your choices, your time, even your identity around someone else's presence. And in doing so, You start disappearing from your own narrative. That's the danger of chasing. You start living through someone else's script. But the truth is, your story is waiting for you to step into the lead role. The camera needs to shift back to you. What does that actually look like? It means waking up and asking, what do I want today? It means reconnecting with the hobbies, people, and goals that light you up. Whether it's creating art, learning something new, hitting the gym, or launching that side project you've been putting off, it's about taking the spotlight back and filling it with you. Because when you're passionately engaged with your own life, everything shifts. People notice. You're no longer sending the energy of, please choose me. You're radiating, I've already chosen myself. That kind of self-investment is rare, and it's incredibly attractive. You stop trying to get love and start being love. You become the kind of person others want to be around, not because you're available 24/7, but because your presence feels grounded, joyful, and alive. When you're the star, you don't need to perform for attention. You draw people in by simply living fully and unapologetically. That's the paradox. The less you seek approval, the more you seem to get it. Because confidence, passion, and authenticity don't chase. They lead. And leaders naturally attract followers. At the root of chasing lies a deeper, quieter truth: how you see yourself. Most people don't chase others because they're in love. They chase because they don't yet believe they're enough. They think that if they can just win someone's attention or affection, it will prove their worth. But that kind of validation is fleeting. It's like trying to fill a deep well with drops of rain. It might help for a moment, but it will never be enough. You have to build from the inside out. Imagine your self-worth as a number between 1 and 10. If you see yourself as a 5, and you're drawn to someone you see as a 9, then everything you do becomes about closing that gap. You overcompensate. You give too much, accept too little, and constantly feel one step behind. That imbalance creates tension, and tension pushes people away. But what happens when you start seeing yourself as a 10? Not because you're perfect, but because you've done the inner work to know your value. You stop chasing. You start choosing. You show up with confidence not because someone told you you're good enough, but because you believe it. That energy is powerful. It shifts everything. When you move from a mindset of scarcity to abundance, when you go from, I hope they like me, to, I already like myself, people notice. They respond to it. Not just romantically, but in all areas of life. Friends, colleagues, even strangers feel that energy. Because confidence is contagious. Self-worth doesn't scream. It doesn't beg. It simply is. And the most beautiful part? The moment you stop trying to convince someone of your worth is the moment you start attracting people who already see it. You don't have to be chosen when you've already chosen yourself. That's where the real power begins. So how do you stop chasing and start attracting? It's not about pretending you don't care or playing games. It's about shifting your energy from desperation to direction, from focusing on someone else's attention to investing in your own growth. The first step is to prioritize your own world. Ask yourself, what truly makes me feel alive? When we're caught up in chasing someone, we often put their needs and schedule ahead of our own, slowly disconnecting from the things that once brought us joy. Reconnect with them. Go back to the gym, take that creative class, travel solo, dive into a passion project. These aren't distractions. They're reminders of who you are. They reinforce the message that your life is full with or without someone else in it. That's magnetic. The second step is setting boundaries. This is where your self-respect becomes visible. Think of your time and energy like currency. Are you spending it wisely? Or giving it away to people who never give back? Boundaries don't push people away. They filter out those who don't align. When you stop overextending yourself, you stop sending the message that you'll accept crumbs. And guess what? The people who truly value you will respect those limits, and they'll show up differently because of them. Finally, open up to abundance. When you obsess over one person, you fall into the trap of believing they're your only shot at happiness. But that's a lie fear tells you. There isn't just one person who can make you feel loved. There are infinite possibilities when you align with the kind of relationship you truly want. Visualize that feeling, the joy, safety, connection. Hold that vision. When you do, you stop settling, and you start drawing in exactly what matches your energy. The chase ends, and the magnetism begins.